everybody. So I will do the introductions. Erica Sommer has been working with children's and teen books since her first library page job in high school. A graduate of Penn State, her summer reading interactions with young patrons at the local library sealed a career goal to continue working to meet young readers' needs. And she has spent the past 25 years working with library wholesalers, most recently at Brodart, where she works with the collection development team to develop and deliver library programs, as well as a youth services focused newsletter to libraries across the country. And joining her today is Andie Paloutzian, MLS, who has been crushing on speculative fiction doorstops and public library stacks since elementary school. She made it official in 2008, going to work for the Mid-Continent Public Libraries in Kansas City. She has since worked in many areas of public library service, including Reader's Advisory, as well as in collection development and library administration. She worked for New Orleans Public Library before joining the team at Brodart, where she now serves as the Director of Collection Development. And she is a past presenter at both PLA and ALA on reading trends and collection development tools. And we are thrilled to have you all here today. So Erica, I will turn it over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I'm grateful to Beth and Marion for having us here today to introduce both Brodart's youth programs and library services and allowing you to meet one of our fantastic publishing partners who will introduce some of their literacy building books that we offer to libraries. Since we have some current Brodart users in this meeting, I'll attempt to keep this brief. I'm not very good at that. And please know you can reach out to me anytime at BYS, as in Brodart Youth Services, at brodart.com. It's fairly easy with any questions. And I'm going to skip some. Hold on a minute. There we go. I think I have to use these arrows. Okay. Session at PALA last fall, that there were a few counties who had worked with Teach My Kid to Read in that session, and a light bulb kind of came on. I'd been trying to find a way to both highlight our decodable books offerings and provide the additional details that only those who have studied early literacy can, and this seemed like a wonderful opportunity to make that happen. And here we are. At Brodart, we are thrilled to be able to provide decodable books from established educational publishers in library and paperback bindings, fully cataloged and processed, ready to fill your literacy hub in your library. We're also happy to have a home in the literacy at your library community to share publisher resources and help make purchasing decisions about decodable books and connect you with the experts in this wonderful organization. So, hurrah! I'll dive into our community space later, but now I wanted to mention that we have a 1-year Literacy at Your Library membership to give away to one lucky winner, courtesy of our publishing partner, Cherry Lake, of which you'll hear from Matthew a little later. After we wrap today, those present will be automatically entered to win. Now on to some of Brodart's Youth Services highlights. First up is our newsletter. Our collection development team works diligently to make sure you have the book lists to support your purchasing decisions. It's one of their jobs. And our 100% youth-focused newsletter is where we highlight timely selection lists and keep you up to date on what's new. Each month we include book reviews written by our team, introduce series that we find particularly useful and unique, and share lists related to current topics and forthcoming holidays and celebrations 2 months prior to their occurrence so that you can pre-order, build displays, and connect programming to them. The newsletter also includes a section tied to lists from the ever-popular graphic novel and graphic nonfiction category. And this month in particular, coming soon, we issue at the end of the month, we have our annual Spanish language takeover of the issue, featuring Spanish bilingual and cultural specific titles to help prepare for Hispanic Heritage Month. Our issues also highlight upcoming programs and events, as well as a monthly Did You Miss It list of hot titles that are in stock and ready to assist with any quick spending like grant needs you might have. A code to sign up is here, and issues, like I said, arrive really close to the end of the month. Um, and next up, this is one of my longer topics. I wanted to highlight KidSafe, our proprietary system for designating graphic works as appropriate for young people by age level. We want to make sure our library partners feel confident selecting for young patrons. KidSafe titles are reviewed in their full text, are vetted for potential popularity and quality, and include hardcover and paperback editions. An average of 100 titles per month are awarded KidSafe designation, which are generally applied 2 to 4 months pre-pub. Here, I want to note that we do not censor titles from our catalog of offerings, but we do add age levels according to the standards that are listed here on the screen. Every month, Brodart's graphic novel specialist creates a new KidSafe selection of forthcoming titles that can be delivered to your Bibz, and I'll tell you, you'll learn more about Bibz later. User ID. The lists are free, and anyone can sign up to receive it. The list is also posted to Bibz, and we share it in the bookworm every month. You can learn more about our selection criteria and our selector, Liz Panguma, with links to additional industry resources at the QR code here. And now, on to a favorite topic of mine, and a topic that I dare say Beth and Marion can now wax poetic about after hearing me talk about it for 2 days in our booth at ALA. It's our Bound to Stay Bound partnership. Since the spring of 2024, we've been offering Bound to Stay Bound's full catalog of guaranteed library bound editions to public libraries here at Brodart. On the right, you'll see some of our bestsellers to date. Perennial forthcoming frontlist and backlist series titles, as well as popular standalone titles, shipped from Bound to Stay Bound's 1.5 million book inventory, enabling speedy turn times for your orders. Brodart will catalog and process these just like any other books you order from us. To point out a few highlights, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Each edition features Bound to Stay Bound's kid-proof covers and bindings, the strongest and most durable in the industry. And there is a review panel for this, printed with the title's original artwork. Double folded library corners, you see those here, the little red circle, that protect against fraying, bending, and turning. I like to call them pre-dog-eared. And here's a big deal. If you look at the blue arrow, see the image here. At least 2 inches of text-free space is provided on each book spine, allowing for call numbers and shelf labels to be applied without covering the title or author's name. Then each book is hand inspected and stickered. And did I mention the unconditional binding guarantee? If a binding should ever fail for any reason, your book will be replaced free of charge. Nearly 20,000 high circulating titles in this format are available and searchable in Bibz simply by the format pre-bind, which is what the books are. Best-selling series with high circulation rates are the top demand, and I'll show you a cool world languages option in just a few slides. Now I wanted to call attention to Brodart's specialization in Spanish and bilingual Spanish and English editions. First of all, we have actual Spanish-speaking staff curating our offerings, something we've heard rumor of that our competitors might not be utilizing. Spanish language title popularity continues to grow, and some youth titles are now available in large print, which we're very excited about. We offer free Spanish lists and new and forthcoming titles, and have 5 different Spanish fast tips as our standing order plans, including picture books, essential juvenile literature, juvenile selections, and young adult fiction, which includes titles written both in Spanish and translations. You can simply set your preferences and watch your books arrive every month. We also provide shelf-ready materials for Spanish titles, provide robust cataloging records with accurate bilindex subject headings, and note the author's country of origin on both adult and juvenile titles. In addition to the bookworm featured selection lists each month, which include Bound to Stay Bound editions, by the way, our recommended list section includes Spanish award winners and Mexican bookstore, LA Times, and New York Times Spanish bestseller lists. So you can find what's hot right there. And on a final note, we have a Purchase Plus Espanol annual subscription plan that can help you stay current with the most sought after Spanish language materials. I would be glad to tell you more about it, but we're moving on. I wanted to call out our world language offerings curated by geographic region. The lists include bilingual and multilingual titles featuring over 40 different languages from around the globe. I noted the title count as 1,200 here and just realized we are close to 1,500 now, with more indigenous languages and representation for Arabic, Bengali, Cantonese, I know I'm not saying this right, Gujarati, Haitian, Portuguese, and Vietnamese speakers, to name a few. Our collection also includes the AV2 World Languages nonfiction series, which you kind of see mentioned here on the right. When you purchase a Bound to Stay Bound print edition of these books in English, and they're really colorful and lovely, it includes access to an online audio-enhanced ebook of the same title translated into 17 different languages. You can build your World Languages collection virtually by purchasing the 125 volume set, providing over 2,000 digital options for your diverse reading population. You can check out you can check out the demo video of that series using the QR code or the link here. And you can find links to all of the world language titles in Bibz under Children's Featured Recommended Lists. Or if you're an Excel junkie like me, I can email you a beautiful Excel workbook. It's also worth noting that we'll be adding some of Barefoot's new world language titles to our summer reading program next year, which leads me to our summer reading program. I may not need to remind this crowd that awarding summer reading with books is beneficial as it encourages kids to maintain and improve their reading skills, helps prevent the summer slide, and fosters a lifelong love of reading. But I just did. Each fall, we announce a robust new list of titles that we are able to offer you at extended discounts as a budget-friendly way to provide your patrons with prize books for participating in your program. Our 2026 list will surpass 1,000 titles with the most popular characters and series kids and teens are reading today, from Scholastic, Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, and others. The list includes titles tied to the national summer reading themes, which I think we're talking dinosaurs next year. And we also added a list of world language titles to meet your diverse community needs this year, and that'll continue next year. Your title mix can be customized to fit your budget with just a 100 book minimum, and I'd be glad to help with any selections there. Every year, we seem to get a run of orders in the spring, so the earlier you order, the better. And finally, our resources page, which I'll show you soon, will have lots of fun patron-facing summer-themed activities to make your program even more fun too. And speaking of resources, here's a roundup of our youth services collection connections, starting with our free downloadable resource page. There you'll find storytime activity kits, book group discussion guides, seasonally themed items and checklists, and other topic-specific items to engage with young patrons. Most of these come from our publishing partners. I have a little image over here of, I didn't include it, sorry. I did create a library scavenger hunt this year, but normally these are really fun things coming from the editorial departments of the publishers. With many of them, you can build a whole library program just by downloading one file. And you see Bluey here, he's been really popular. It's updated every 4 to 6 weeks. For forthcoming and best-selling children's and teen titles, if you look at the left side here, our Little One and Light Little One catalogs are curated by our collection development staff into categorized, easy-to-read lists from which you can order directly. The Little One issues 4 times a year with a feature article from yours truly featuring new initiatives, projects, and themes we are focused on learning more about in each issue. Our current issue features an interview with the founders of an organization called Teach My Kid to Read, for instance. So I can share that with you if you'd like to read it. And the Light Little One dives into specific subjects such as diversity, Spanish titles, and graphic novels. And this is also 3 times a year. And then our final collection connection refers to our title preview program. The January preview is presented by our youth collection development team and myself, featuring winter and spring titles. And our spring event is held in April and May, inviting publishers to present their forthcoming summer and fall titles, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Each 20-ish minute presentation is a great asset for planning your seasonal new title spending, and we provide corresponding selection lists for easy ordering. Our YouTube channel will take you to our playlists, which also include our first chapter Fridays, Meet the Authors, Decodable books, and webinar archives. Subscribe to the channel to see new content as we post it. I've also included a link to our Instagram page highlighting Brodart's offerings. If you like to find new ways to spread library joy, like a certain person we know, wink, wink, you'll want to follow us here. And finally, the Brodart Youth Services Facebook page is where you'll see news first, like the premieres of authors reading their first chapters on Fridays. We'd love to have you like and share our page. Now to our latest resource offerings found at the Literacy at Your Library community. This is the Brodart Resource Hub, which starts at our main page with some introductory materials about us and our partnership with Teach My Kid to Read. Then, when you choose the Brodart Publishing Partners section, you'll see a list of the various publishers we work with who have provided their scope and sequence, series videos, and other files that provide guidance in making your decodable book selections. See, for instance, on the right here, the dyslexia-friendly font document from Cherry Lake, which I think Matthew might mention later. At the top of the page, which I kind of cut off here, you'll find a handy series overview document that gives you information about each highlighted series in the hub and available through Brodart, providing Bibz search criteria, title counts, and series creator back matter as well. This is very much written and cultivated with help from the publishers. And I also just want to note that the hub is a work in progress, and new files are being added as I receive them. We learned about some new series even at ALA, so we've got more to come. And we do carry these series, we just might not have them featured here yet. So, and finally, before I turn this over to Andie, I wanted to share our Brodart account setup page link. This page is where you can share all of the nitty-gritty details about how you like to receive books into your library. We've been onboarding quite a few new libraries this year, so getting the ball rolling sooner than later is a good idea, especially if you're having your books cataloged and processed. Once your profile is submitted, you will hear from our customer care team, get your Bibz login credentials. This is probably the most exciting thing within a few weeks. And now I'm going to turn it over to Andie to tell you more about Brodart's library services.
Thank you, Erica. Hope everybody can hear me all right. I'm coming to you live from a conference room inside of Queens Public Library today because, of course, we are always out there trying to spread the gospel of what we do for public libraries far and wide, and this is just where you catch me in this moment. Erica highlighted quite a few things that we do at Brodart, but I want to talk a little bit more generally about the services. So the first thing that I'm going to mention in the scope of what we do for books is cataloging and processing. Thank you for bringing the slide up. So we talk about cataloging and processing services as existing on a continuum, maybe in part because we like poetry and philosophy, but also because it's very, very customizable. You know, you all have particular things that you like within your MARC records that you like to see in terms of your spine label processing. And we can absolutely handle all of that. Along that very customizable continuum, we have 3 milestones. So the first is starter, which you see over on the left. Essentially, this also follows for pricing. So this is the least expensive option. This allows you to get a MARC record, a usable record that is going to be mapped to the specifications for your ILS. It's also going to help you to have a call number on the spine, logical things that you need to organize your collection. The midpoint is really Flex, and that is our proprietary cataloging utility. That is essentially our computerized way, our automated way of being able to add even more customization to what you probably already love about Starter. So more records manipulation possibility, and certainly anything you can throw at us in the way of your local call number preferences. That's how we would try to address that. And at the far end of that continuum is complete book service. That is our highest level of cataloging and processing. It's really magic. We have a dedicated team that works on absolutely all of your preferences being gathered into one place, and they function at that point going forward as a member of your technical services staff. So any spine sticker you might be able to dream up, we are undaunted at that level. We can handle it. Next up, we do offer leasing. I mentioned leasing as though it's something that just, maybe grew up out of the wild, but honestly, McNaughton in its 75th year here, was the first leasing program. So we're very proud of our leasing option. It is a way to address demand. And as I talk about collection development services more, I'm going to talk about how it is a layered approach. So this is really your first layer. You want to get all of those blockbuster authors, whether those are authors for adults or for teens, whatever under the sun collection development wise you're trying to accumulate. When you want to meet demand, this is an excellent solution. Items are going to come to you shelf ready. They're going to come to you very quickly. They have their own dedicated processing line in our facility in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And you just use them so long as there is demand, as long as they're checking out. And when you're done with them, when your patrons are done with them, you send them right back. It's just about as simple as that. And of course, that means you get to maintain your own copies in pristine condition because these can kind of be out there helping you break down your Holtz queue. So that's layer one. As we get past leasing and go into the second layer of collection development, that's when we're going to start talking about things like standing order programs. And Erica mentioned this just a little while ago. We do build standing order programs for adults, for teens, and of course for kids. We can build them in with preferences for binding, for language, all sorts of niceties. We can also take things like the distribution of your branches, how many copies you may want for branch, grid information, things like your holdings codes and your fund codes, and build all of that in for you. It's a complimentary service. We can push it out to you once a month, twice a month, and help you keep on top of those things that you absolutely have to have in your library. Beyond standing orders, moving away from orders and back to lists where you get to be choosy, where you get to have some fun, that's where you're going to start to see our Silver Tips program and our Diamond Tips program. And you're going to hear me say tips a lot. I will just, pull back the curtain. We're all librarians. We love our little initialisms. TIPS is Title Information Preview Service. So it's really our umbrella program for everything that is new and forthcoming and we know you want to see. Silver Tips are complimentary lists. We publish them monthly. They are representative of the work done by everybody on our collection development team at Brodart, 14 of us, in fact. We produce them over 23 different categories. So you are going to be able to find things that are specific to teen graphic novels or juvenile board books or materials for juveniles that are in Spanish, just as examples. If that's something you're curious about, the website will be all over this. You'll have myriad opportunities to find it. Diamond Tips, kind of like Complete Book Serve, is our highest level of collection development support. So much with Complete Book Serve, where you've got a group of people coming in and learning all of your preferences so they can catalog like you would if you had infinite time. That is what Diamond Tips is. We work with you on all of your collection development requirements, particularly in areas where you're struggling to find enough. And we will do that work for you. We will research. It is our favorite thing to do. The Nerd Hive will be deployed on your benefit. And we can push those out to you as often as you need, really. We can do it weekly, we can do it bi-monthly, we can do it monthly. They're available for you. So those are sort of the layers that I like to talk to you broadly. If this were actually a layer cake, we're up to things like sprinkles and whipped cream whirls and cherries now, because I'm going to talk a little bit about opening day collections. That is actually my favorite thing. So we get to help you build a brand new collection for a brand new library or a library that is being renovated. And it can be as simple as making sure that you've got lists so that you can find everything you want based on the demographics that you know are in that community. But it can also be more complicated, and that is something we bring to it. It is project management. So we will help you track the funding for that particular project. We can catalog everything as specifically as you need us to, palletize it, wrap it up, and save it until you actually get the keys to the building. We can even do the ordering for you. We have a service called Vendor Select where we can work with you to get your criteria down to the smallest granular detail, and we can do the collection selection for you as well. So it is a wonderful project. The most popular question I get is, well, what if the project is delayed or it snows in August? Whatever the case may be, the punch list isn't done on time. We will keep it indefinitely forever, and we will coordinate delivery when you are ready. It is literally no trouble for us. We have got a dedicated space in the warehouse for this. It's one of the biggest and best things that we do. I have one person on my team that just started her 78th opening day collection. And I can tell you, as a company in our history, we've been in business since 1939, but as long as we've been doing opening day collections, we've never missed a delivery. So very proud of this. Thank you. I see the clapping. Thank you, Erica. All right, so moving on, even though that is very exciting, small amount of time to say everything I need to say and no time to say it. The next thing I want to talk about is Bibz. And Erica is displaying a slide right here that shows you our recommended list. That's kind of my favorite corner of Bibz. It is where everything that the people on our collection development team do, it's where it's all reflected. So it is essentially the entire database of titles available to you on Bibz, but it has been pocketed by a bunch of library hive minders, once again, into groups that we think reflect not only how you want to select, but how you want to prioritize your budgets. So you can find things by audience, for children, for teen, you can find them by format. Graphic novel is an example. There's a huge pocket of information for Spanish language collection development. We also track and regularly update a truckload of awards, not just the ALA awards, but various literary awards, state awards, things that we know you need and don't have time to look up yourself. So it is an excellent resource for filling in areas of your collection, for doing gap analysis, but also just for day-to-day work, because it's inclusive of everything that's already published, but also everything that is still new and forthcoming. If you haven't clicked on that recommended list button in a while, high time you gave it a shot, because there's plenty of information in there, and I think it's a somewhat underused resource. All right, so we'll go to the next slide. All right, so what we're highlighting here is our newest, brightest, shiniest collection development tool. It is called Bibz Analytics. It is our first foray into this software analytics tool world. What we essentially provide is a look into a single library's ILS. So this is customer specific, it's local data. We're able to extract everything that you can know about the items that are available for circulation in that system. And we're also able to grab all of the transaction information, all of the circulation history. So what they own and how often and how well it checks out, or perhaps maybe does not check out. And we're able to then compare that to anything that is new and forthcoming, not already in your library system, and offer you a prediction of how it would do if you chose to add it. It's just another kind of instantaneous efficiency that we've tried to bake in, and I am going to show you here in just a moment in the live environment. And I do think we're coming to the end of the slide presentation here, so that may be that. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to flip over to Bibz. All right, and so hopefully we are all seeing Bibz. Let me just hide this little sharing box. So I've already done a search, and I just did a search using one of our sources. We have myriad sources that we are constantly updating. This one was specifically related to early literacy items for juveniles, wanted to respect the crowd. So as you can tell, I've got 1,347 items in this particular list. That's hearty. For those of you that do juvenile selection, maybe you could handle that in your sleep. I would feel a little spooked by that. But this particular account that I'm using has got Bibz Analytics rankings. That's what you see with this column over to the right. And as with any column header in the brief display of Bibz, I can sort and resort just by clicking on the column header. So what I'm going to do right now is display those that are at the top of the list. It is a 1 to 10 scale. So you can see we've got some here that are ranked at 9.3. That's our highest ranked item on this list. If, like me, you found yourself spooked by 1,347 items to consider, you could also utilize this library rank filter over here. And I am just going to take advantage and say I would only like to see things that are 6 and above. And now I've dropped from over 1,000 titles to 154. So a very bite-sized and manageable list. And if I'm a librarian in this system, and this is a real system in Southern California, I can intuit that I could drop this title in any of my locations and it would do well at a 9.3. But if I needed to be choosy, I could click on it and I could open up a list of branches and see which would be the top performing branch as an example. So it is a very dynamic tool. It can also show you a sample of what the ranks are based on, something we call related content. It will show you 10 titles that have been added to that branch within the last 3 years that are good content matches for the one that you are considering. So that is just a glimpse into Bibz and Bibz Analytics. I would like to show you one other little search since I mentioned recommended lists. I'm going to go down here to children's and I'm going to use the Easy Fiction Collection Builders. This is one of my favorite things that the people on my team update all the time. I just think it's wonderful. I like picture books. They make me feel very accomplished in my reading goals because I can get through several. So I'm going to open the picture book list. And this particular one here again has over 1,000 titles. So if I'm a Bibz Analytics user, I can sort and see which are at the very top. I can also use what's available to any Bibz user by scrolling down and using these filters on the left. The one that I have been hearing the most about lately, and this will make sense to a lot of you, is within pub date. There is a particular filter you can use that lets you look at the last 2 to 5 years. And if you think about it, that timeline includes the early days of the COVID-19 shutdowns. I know it's not something we want to revisit, but in the weeks, months, and years coming out of that, there were staffing instabilities, there were budget issues that everyone had to wade through. So you can utilize this filter to look at just picture books that are from this time period. And you still have all of the tools we make available, like A for annotation, the star for a starred review, the R for review. But best and brightest, this H icon, this says that within this library system, these titles are actually owned. So you can very quickly scroll down through a list and see which you may be missing. If you're trying to do gap analysis, here's one right here. It's a wonderful tool. So I realize that was an extremely brief glimpse. I know we went through that very fast. I hope that was fast enough, in fact. There is plenty more to say, so please do reach out if you have questions. We're always happy to talk about our resources. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so now we are going to introduce Matthew Kopyar. Matthew has worked at Cherry Lake in the Sleeping Bear Press. He's the director of sales and has been for over 15 years. He has extensive experience working with public libraries and media centers, developing their collections, and working with school districts, assisting with their literacy curriculum. And I will turn it over to you, Matthew.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate and the opportunity to be with you. So what I really wanted to do today was I wanted to basically say thanks for all of you, and we appreciate the opportunity to grow our relationship with Brodart and certainly to work with Teach My Kid to Read. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through very quickly our series and kind of highlight a little bit of how we're seeing them being used in libraries, particularly public libraries. So kind of share those because I think with this time, as you're kind of thinking about how you're going to move forward and how phonics and how that will play into decodables and specifically will play into your collection and how you can support your patrons. The first series, this is actually a new series for us. This is Budding Blossom Stories. And the reason I'm going to talk about the dimensions on this, not that that's overly important, but I want you to realize the size of these and also the thickness of these, because I know in public libraries a lot of times I'll kind of give you some solutions on this, but particularly with these, they're really more designed for classrooms. So these are 6x6, they're square, 16 pages in length, and they're really focused on that classroom instruction. These in particular kind of are very early on because they're actually bridging that phonological awareness and decoding. So these would be for that, just as the kids are starting to read, this kind of is that initial step that they're going through. So they're kind of a step into your phonics and into your more robust decodables. All of our titles are fiction. They have original characters in them. You can notice from the covers here, you can kind of see the diversity. You can also kind of look up and see the interiors there. You can see how simple and straightforward these titles are. The other nice thing with our series is that we do this little button. You can see it in the upper left-hand corner. What that indicates is the specific phonics skill. And they are color-coded, so they're consistent. If you're looking at Silentese, they'll be green. If you're looking at consonants or short vowels, then you're going to see red. And the little on the back of them, it actually tells you what that specifically is. So it's nice for the librarian. You can pick them up and you know what you have, or you can quickly gather them if you're working with a patron. Like I said, these are a little bit more classroom focused, more because of their size and length. And that being said, what I do find is that public libraries are using these for like early childhood, though, or if they're working with schools or charter schools, private schools that might be relying on the public library to support or maybe even be their media center. These work very, very well for that. The other nice thing is because of the way they're put together, they're economical. So if you have any type of an outreach where you might want to put together packages for them or something that you want to share, this is a good option. The other thing that I've seen on these, you can obviously put them in bins, bags, or even some of them are really creative. They punch a hole in the corner and use one of the rings to kind of lock them up. Now, the Little Blossom stories, I'm sorry, there's 10 titles in this. So this is kind of really the more robust set, looking same format, 187 titles here of the Little Blossom story. So it really covers that full spectrum of phonics. Same fiction, original characters going through here. The buttons, just like we saw before. The other thing here too is that there is a correlation that's done for these, so that when you're selecting them, whether you're working with Brodart, what Erica mentioned, you can look at that scope and sequence and you can find the particular phonics skills if you want to kind of walk into phonics as opposed to buying the complete whole package across all the phonics. And I think the other piece to remember is that you have some great resources here. Erica's talked about what Brodart does. Teach My Kid to Read is just outstanding. And then also the publishers reach out to us and pull us in to talk about our titles and to help you out and kind of share some of our experiences too. And now this actually series, the In Bloom, there's 61 titles here, covers a lot of the same phonics concepts that we saw in those earlier series, but this was really designed basis feedback that we got from the public libraries, because we heard you and from the standpoint of saying, hey guys, these are really tough for us to put on the shelves, the bags and all that. Can you just give us something that looks like a normal library binding that we can put on the shelf and use that way and catalog as we catalog a lot of our other materials. So what we did is we said, sure, that's what we're going to do. So what we did is we actually expanded these. You can see they're 6.5 by 8. They're bigger. They're 24 pages. They're in a library binding as well as a paperback. You can go either way. And a lot of times what I'm finding my public libraries, my librarians, because they're worried about circulation, they'll actually put these in the early readers because if you look at them, they kind of look like early reader covers. And if a kid's looking for something, about cats or a school trip, they'll pick these up and read them. The decodable text really doesn't faze them at all, versus maybe a teacher or a parent who wants to work with their children. This would be, then they still have the buttons on them. And also you notice the spine's very consistent. So if you're looking for them with that button that kind of rounds around the spine, they're easy and quick to find so you can quickly select them. The other thing too is that the In Bloom, as well as the next set I'm going to talk to you about, do have the dyslexic friendly font, which is also very big. Anyone looking around science reading, the dyslexic friendly font is often of interest to them, and they're looking for that. The other nice thing with these too, I'll point out, is that these cover the basic phonics skills up to the more complex phonics skills. But because of the size and it has a couple of chapters in it, you can use it with older readers. Okay, you may have children that maybe up like second or third grade that are still haven't acquired their phonics skills or need some additional practice and support. These work very, very well for that. Yet you can still take them down to your pre-K and kindergartners. They're appropriate there. There's nothing in here that's objectionable. And it allows you to use them. So it gives you a nice range and a wider range in your library for your patrons and for the children that might need these titles. And then the next one I want to talk a little bit about here, these are 16 titles. The feedback that we've got was, hey, love the In Blooms, but you know what? We have children that are even older than that. What do we do for the older children that are still working on their phonics? They probably have the skills. They just need a little bit more practice, or there's just a little something that they're missing. So what we designed is there's actually 2 8-book series here that covers all your phonics skills. It's done relatively quickly. They're available in paper as well as library binding, 24 pages. And then the other thing, these have dyslexic friendly font also. And there's little characters in them, and it looks like early chapter book. You can kind of see the interior there. Once again, finding that a lot of the public libraries do shelve these with their early chapter books to get those circulations, but still have them available when they need them. And last, here real quick, I just wanted to mention, we actually have a Spanish series of phonics. So it's kind of the initial Spanish phonics here. Spanish, I'm not a Spanish speaker, but my understanding is that it's a little bit simpler phonetically. So this is, if you have anyone learning Spanish, this would be a great little series to pick up. Once again, these are only available in the paper, that kind of smaller size. Talked a little bit earlier, and Erica mentioned it. This is our dyslexia-friendly font, kind of highlights those. You can see the In Bloom and Code Breakers. We have a couple other series that I didn't talk about that are a little bit for older students that you might like, that are noted here too, if you're looking to build this. And then the last thing I forgot to mention is that back very early on, we also have a couple little series with decodable text for math and science, which is very unusual. Usually you don't see them presented that way. So there's little 12 book sets there for childhood, because there's a lot of the same concepts that they're looking, and they also have the decodable text in them. So you kind of get a twofer in those. I think the preschools really like those, and any early childhood program that you would have. And then last thing is just to kind of reinforce what I said earlier, please reach out to us, to Brodart, to Teach My Kid, to us as the publishers. They can both get access to me and to us, and let us help you and share ideas and suggestions and things that we're experiencing that might be helpful to you.
Thank you. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat, but let's just take a moment in case anybody wants to ask any of the panelists.
I have a question.
Beth?
I do. All right. So my library, if I'm going to buy like code breakers and get them through Brodart, can I get mark records, spine labels, all that can get done?
All that jazz, yes. Regardless of what ILS, what library system, what database your library uses, we can work with them. We can create records based on their specifications. We can create records based on good general guiding principles, and we can process it any way they need to.
Can you do kitting, like for some of the smaller ones?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
And that is a popular thing. I'm always thinking about board books, or not board books, excuse me, Bob books.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
When I was working in a public library, those were my favorite little things to put back in order. It allowed my brain to feel like it had run out the gambit on its OCD needs for the day, like put them in perfect order, all facing front in the little box. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I wanted to point out something about one of Matthew's series, because I'm formerly a nonfiction and fiction children's buyer in a previous hat. And the In Bloom series from Cecilia Minden was the first decodable book series to come onto my radar. And she was I think, language and learning, what was her title at Harvard, Matthew? Yep. I can't remember exactly. But she came with just such a wealth of knowledge about how this works. And it's been a series that we've seen just continue to grow and live on in popularity. So I'm excited that we had Matthew as part of this first webinar.
Thank you.
And I think, Matthew, you said those are in library binding, right?
That is correct. The Code Breakers and the In Bloom are both in library binding, because we got the feedback that we had from the public libraries is, hey, we love this, but help us out. Let's put them on the shelf and make it a little bit easier for us. So that's what yep.
Exactly.
Speaks to their popularity.
Yeah.
How much these resources are needed.
And I know that as popularity builds on series as well, we can make suggestions to the team over at Bound to Stay Bound to have some of those turned into library bindings as needed. So it's sort of on a case-by-case basis. So we would be happy to hear from libraries that are looking for that as well.
So we do have a question. So when I said that books could be kitted, Becky wanted to know, can you buy them pre-packaged? Can you actually do the kitting, Brodart, or do we have to work with you to say this is what we want? And
Yeah, do you remember that high degree of customization I was alluding to very vaguely earlier?
yes,
I would
yes.
say it never hurts to ask. Generally speaking, there are some that exist in kits and they need to be somewhat modified so they make sense in a public environment, a public
Mhm.
library environment, and that is exactly what I was talking about. Any series under the sun being kitted, I think we would have to look into that and see what we could do. There's capacity, then there's always a way.
And I think it's, Becky, at least for my library, it's like I can buy whatever I need to hold it. But I mean, for me, I want to know about the cataloging. And that's what I would need the Brodart team is to help me with the item records and the
Yeah.
big bib record. And, I need help with that. That's
Yes,
not
we can
something I
do
can do
that.
on
Yeah,
my own.
making it discoverable within your OPAC
Yes.
for all the customers that use it. Absolutely being able to keep track of things like series indicators so that your readers can continue once they find one that works for them. Yes, that is all data that we keep track of, and that is all possible within the
Okay.
cataloging
Okay.
records.
But the physical kitting probably
Mhm.
is on us at the library level. Yeah.
Not necessarily. Like I said,
Not,
it just kind
well,
of depends.
it depends on,
Yeah.
I would say, budget and such
Yes,
things.
that's
Yes.
always part of that high degree of customization conversation as well.
Right. So,
Right.
okay, great. Thank you.
And I
Sure.
have planted the bee in the bonnet of Brodart also has a supply and furnishings division, and we have a very robust catalog. But there are some specific kits that I know you have used, Beth, that you've shown to me that I think I'd like to get listed in there, which would kind of make it a little easier to work with
Yeah.
Brodart
Yeah.
this
The
as well.
more of the tools, the pieces that we can have that we can put together, and the more, Andie, you can help us with the inside, then, then we have a complete solution. So we are definitely all looking towards that, but it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we found from a publisher standpoint is that we've often tried to create the kit, but what we really find is that we're better off responding to the particular library, because whatever I put together, it may work in a library, but then everyone has a little difference or a little different way, different approach, different budget, different need. And so I think it's more, I think that rather than us forcing a set or a way through, I think it's better to kind of customize and really meet the library's needs. At least that's what we found that we've been most successful with.
Yeah,
Mhm.
depending on whether we use bags or boxes, or it depends a lot on our space. Our budget, yes, but also our spacing and what we've already done in the past and what we see works on the individual library level.
Thanks to everyone who spent the time to learn with us, and a special thanks, of course, to our presenters from Brodart and Cherry Lake Publishing.